Mercedes.
I'm Mariana.
And we decided that our first episode, we were going to talk more about talking, but we're just going to kind of jump into it. We wanted to go with the jail system and, delve into our curiosities surrounding that.
Kind of get some inside perspective, too, on it. And luckily, we were able to reach someone on the inside and got some questions answered that we were wondering about. So hopefully we can answer some of your questions.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions for this person, are they available through our email? We'll post at the end of this.
Yeah.
So actually, I'll let you start because you emailed him. So.
Yeah. Well, to give you some background, this person is going to be in prison for 87 months. His charges were 3 first-degree possessions of firearm, so 3 different ones. A first-degree possession with intent to deliver meth, first-degree possession with intent to deliver heroin, and attempting to elude the police.
Okay.
Yeah. We had some questions, so here we are.
Okay, so I think one of the questions that a lot of us have is, how accurate is the portrayal of the justice system? We have this part over here that says 100%, if you're a criminal, you deserve to be in jail. And then on this end, we've got, people who kind of question the system a little bit. How equal is it? How is it really justice, given the people that are in there and the different crimes that are committed? So I guess that is the first question. So we've got all of those. Mm-hmm. What did he say about what is the biggest difference that you notice between how blacks versus natives versus Caucasians are treated in prison?
So his response was that Native Americans receive more privileges due to the fact that they receive the per capita checks. They can be spent in the commissary department of DOC. DOC means Department of Corrections. And the commissary is where you get your food, your supplies, your toothbrush, toothpaste, everything that you need to make it through the day. So the commissary department, is controlled by the DOC officers who have stock in the commissary. So it's sold directly to inmates at a higher price, so they make profit off of that.
Okay.
So he gave me an example. He said they buy a case of top ramen noodles for $5.60, while it's sold for about $2 outside in the free world. I mean, I could get a 4-pack for $1.
Yeah.
Maybe. So that's kind of the discrepancy there. And then he also
who owns the commissary?
The DOC.
Okay.
This whole
this particular building. Okay.
Behind us,
or I mean the jail itself.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so lots of money to be made there.
Yeah, I mean, God, how much? You're making $4 every time, and people have to eat, so yeah.
Like, what about, you can buy toothpaste there? So toothpaste is not provided to inmates.
Toothpaste, toothbrushes. I think they may get their own socks and underwear.
Okay.
But anything extra, and soap, you have to buy your own soap, all that stuff.
Okay. And then is there a discrepancy in duration of sentence between said groups, different groups of people?
Kind
of went out of order there, but
that's okay.
I'm trying to make it work.
I mean, I would say yes, because the discrepancy comes from just purely race. Like, it would be, for him, he said it does, but he doesn't experience it as much as, like, the mistreatment, much as, because he's Caucasian, forgot to say that, and he does not really see it.
Okay, he doesn't experience it, or he doesn't see it?
He doesn't experience it.
Okay, but he didn't touch on seeing it visually.
He sees it between the inmates and the officers.
Okay.
So the people of color, the POC inmates and the officers will socialize between each other because they can relate to each other. But then there are also POC officers that will mistreat their own POC inmates because they fear, being rejected by their fellow officers. They don't want to be looked at as like having any sort of empathy or sympathizing with them.
Okay.
Which is sad. They're also, they can also be disrespectful because they don't want to, it says, due to them fearing losing their job, and a lot of their own groups are divided amongst, themselves due to racism, prejudice, and stereotypes.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on in here that I was not made
Wish
aware
we
of.
could get in there.
I know.
I mean, not get in there.
Okay,
but-
well. I know, I hear you.
Okay. So we kind of got that. All right. Did he say if he sees a certain demographic in jail more often than not?
He tries to avoid it.
Okay.
I mean, it's, one time I think he said somebody got in a fight because they incurred a debt from another race, so that resulted in a riot. But that doesn't happen too often.
Okay.
So it's kind of just if he's there, he doesn't really walk into it. And like I
Okay.
said, he's Caucasian, so he's not as into this sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate to say into it, but it doesn't involve him as much.
Yeah, not really able to see it if you haven't
Right.
experienced it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good point of topic, though, just because, once you do see it, I think once it, the light switch turns on, I think it's a lot easier to see. So who knows? I mean, I would like to hear what he says, maybe in, I don't know, a certain amount of time from now, just to see if he started thinking about it more and now he can notice it more.
Yeah. Well, one of his answers said that he was even treated differently just because he associated with African Americans and of people of color. So there's a small example, probably not as much and to not as an extreme, but definitely noticed some differences there. So.
And then did he say anything about, do you notice a pattern between demographics and crime?
Which one is that?
Last one.
14. No, he did not.
I wonder if they even talk about it, though. What they're in for.
I mean, I'm sure they do amongst themselves,
Yeah.
but
It's not, I'm sure it's not the opener.
no, definitely not. And, most definitely. So one of his answers was the majority of POCs are more than likely selected to take bottom of the barrel jobs while they're in prison.
Okay, so he did notice that.
And are targeted by correction officers based on their stereotypes against them.
Okay,
So, I mean,
he
that
did
could
kind of
be-
see it.
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty clear to me.
Janitor, I feel. I don't know what would be worse than janitor or
Bottom of the barrel jobs, we're trying to define that. I don't know.
I don't
That's a
know
good
either.
question, but questions usually lead to other questions.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think we kind of covered a lot of it, but
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I kind of had assumed, which is partially my fault, but it's also why would I not assume this, is the fact that the discrepancy in durations of sentences between these groups. He said it definitely depends on the judge's racial perception of people.
okay.
And that the type of race hearing that specific case in that community is. So it's not only the person that is potentially going to prison or jail, it's also the judge. It's also if he knows people surrounding this person. They include everything when they're talking about this and trying to determine somebody's sentence. I mean, that's a lot. 87 months is a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do the math on that. See how many years he's already been in there, and it's a long time.
So I think it's fair to say that the system in which places criminals in jail, well, you know, people who commit crimes. I don't like using the word criminals, actually, I'll take that back. People who commit crimes, it's based off of the judge and his biases, his personal biases,
Yeah.
is what somebody from this jail system who is Caucasian is kind of saying to us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing, but I mean, I didn't want to assume that. I just kind of did, and
Right?
turns out it was a correct assumption.
So I think if judges are doing that, then it would be pretty safe to say, I mean, humans do that in general. I'm not, you know, unless that we have a perfectly, like a robot, and even then I don't even know if all of the answers would be correct. But humans do that in general. But I think it would be fair to say that there would be police officers out there who have, you know, who kind of do the same thing. So how equal is a system in which personal biases affect the outcome?
Right. It's tough. Somebody's life.
Yeah.
If
I mean, this
somebody,
really is. This alters your life.
Yeah. This determines a lot of stuff when you are even in prison and when you get out of prison. I'm just thinking about it for myself. Like, I can't, if I was to commit a crime, I would want somebody to be fair and just in their decision.
I would want that too, but I also would want people to, like, solution oriented. You know, like, what is placing someone in jail for a crime going to actually make them change their ways? Or is
Right.
there other methods that may be more effective? You
Especially
know,
repeat offenders, you know.
Yeah.
They're in and out of the system so much, and they don't have the time to go back or go rehabilitate themselves, and then they just compete. You know, the cycle just keeps going around and around. And I think if more people had time to maybe transition out of jails or prisons the correct way, then we wouldn't have so many people going back. And that's just growth. That's human growth. That's how you learn. Learning about yourself and learning about how the world works and maybe seeing some different perspectives. I think it's really important.
Yeah. And I mean, one way, yeah, like you said, traveling around, having different experiences, meeting different people kind of helps even out personal biases that we may have been, you know, taught from whatever, you know, family we come from, society we come from, town we come from, whatever. So I definitely wish that traveling wasn't so expensive, because I feel like that would definitely
Yes.
help out.
Yeah.
I think that's it. If anyone else has any questions about this particular inmate's experience, or any questions that you would like us to pursue further, this is not a, you know, one and done type of topic.
No.
It's definitely a broad topic. It's gonna come up very often. It's gonna be a long topic. It's gonna be a very opinionated topic, emotional topic. So definitely email us if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Hi guys, we're back. We had somewhat of a disclaimer to do for this. This topic was kind of hard to do, at least for me. Very emotionally invested in it. You know, I'm very close to this person that we interviewed and want the best for them. So I'm trying to look at it as a very logical way of thinking, maybe. Just I hope that they're doing okay. I hope it's fair. I hope, you know, each day is a new day. I hope you're changing yourself, being a better person. I hope that for you guys too. But just trying to take my emotions out of it was really hard. Some days that'll be me, some days that'll be you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why we work well together.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my disclaimer for this.
Yeah. My disclaimer is I'm going into it trying to be as neutral as possible, but I do have really firm beliefs that the justice system is unequal. I definitely think that non-white people get sentenced more harshly for, you know, different crimes. I also want to clarify that I don't think criminals should be a word. I don't think any person should be labeled as one word. We're beings who do something, or beings who are something, or beings who learn something, whatever we might be, but we're human beings first. And I think that everybody should have the opportunity to become a better version of themselves. And sometimes I think that, it might not even be a bad person. It might be someone who did something bad because of a situation that they were in, or how they grew up, or what they've experienced. But that's kind of my disclaimer. Try to be as neutral as possible, and try to not be so overly emotional about my own personal beliefs. So, thank you.
Thanks.
We are interviewing on the jail system. We're getting some opinions from people in the public. So the first question is, have you heard of the unfair treatment of people of color in our jail system?
I have, yeah. So I don't even know where I saw it really. Might have been in school. I just graduated high school. But versus I would say colored people versus white people, I've heard that always a third of white people. A third of the colored people are white people that are in jails. So there's 2 times more.
Okay, yeah.
Is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it affect you personally? Do you know anybody in jail?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just general care
Yeah.
about what happens.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We definitely need more of that. Did you know that if you are a white male and you associate yourself with people of color in jail, that you can also be mistreated?
Really?
Yeah. Well, that's an opinion that we've gotten from somebody who's in jail.
Okay.
But does that surprise you? I mean, does that seem off the wall?
It doesn't surprise me. It shocks me in a way where it's terrible. That shouldn't happen. But it's especially coming from someone who's in jail. I don't know if they dealt with it personally or just kind of watched. But that's really unfair and crazy to hear. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about being a corrections officer?
No, not really. I just feel like it can be associated with violence a lot, and I'm just kind of not in that direction. But I know, also, just officers are trying to be viewed more positively by the public. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to do that in a lot of ways when their job is to put, I wouldn't say punish, but put people in the place they're supposed to be. Yeah.
Would you be, if you learned more about the issue and you were, if you know enough about the issue, would you want to vocalize these issues in public?
A little bit more, yeah. Just make it more aware by people. I feel like a lot of people are blind to things that go on that don't affect them.
Yeah.
And
that is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I love that, actually. That is a really awesome viewpoint.
Yeah, just to vocalize it a little bit more. If we could have things put up, social media is huge. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of social media myself, but it's definitely an effective way to put things out there. It could be a little ad on Instagram. You're scrolling through, say something Vogue. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a great tool. Absolutely.
Anyway, yeah.
Cool.
Anything like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for talking with us.
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Okay, hi, this is Mariana. What's your name?
Oh, I'm Andre.
We are out here on the streets interviewing people about the jail system and how they feel about it, so we're going to just get right into it. Have you ever heard about the unfair treatment of people of color in our jail system?
Yes, I have.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
I feel like it's something that needs to be done. The fact that it's being talked about and issues being brought up with different Netflix series and stuff like that, I feel like that's the first step, but it's definitely still far more steps that we need to take as a people to, yeah.
Definitely, I agree with you. Question number 2, does it affect you personally? Do you have any family members, friends in there? Or?
I've had a couple friends in jail, family members as well. I've never personally heard of them being mistreated, but I'm sure that goes on in there. So
yeah, that was my next question. So you never know until they tell you, and sometimes they don't even want to tell you.
Right, exactly.
Because it's just too bad. So yeah, okay. So would you be surprised that if you were a white male and you associated yourself with people of color in jail, that you would also be mistreated?
That doesn't surprise me. No, honestly, no, it doesn't surprise me.
No? Even, I mean, going into it, I was like, I had no idea, but that was somebody's opinion.
Yeah,
so.
I can. Once you tell me that, I can believe it more. I wouldn't think that just naturally thinking, but once you tell me, it's easy to believe that.
Yeah, kind of is. Okay, have you ever thought about being corrections officer?
No, I have not. It's
Not
not something
your-
that I'm interested in at all.
Not your path.
No.
Okay. All right. Are you interested in vocalizing this issue? Are you interested in this? Do you have any ideas of how to maybe make it better or change it?
I'm definitely interested in vocalizing it. Like I said, I've watched Netflix series on it that's raised my attention towards it. So yes, I'd definitely be interested in vocalizing the issue.
It's tough because you don't really know what's going on in there, and then or maybe you're in there right now, and then you come out and you have no idea how to approach anybody about it,
It's like a
or
whole
talk to
different
them
world
about
in
it.
there. Like they have their own rules, they have their own things. That they
Yeah.
do, so we're so cut off from that we don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, there's still, marginalized racism in there.
Right, exactly.
So it's hard to determine, okay, where did this start? How did it start? How do we stop it? Or change it, or,
Correct it.
make it better for everybody involved.
Right. Definitely.
All right. Hi, guys. This is Mariana, and I'm interviewing
Ken.
Ken. Okay. We have the same questions for him that we've been asking people on the streets today about the jail system, and so let's just go right into it. Have you ever heard of the unfair treatment of people of color in our jail system?
I have.
How do
Yeah.
you feel about it?
Well, you get a lot of news reports and so forth and activists. But I know personally from people that I associate with and that I call friends that this has been the case. And it's not just one particular race. It could be any number of races. So it's not something that's earmarked for one type or one particular race of people.
Right.
If they're not white, sometimes it's difficult, and there are problems sometimes. Mm-hmm. And there's separation within the system amongst the people that are interned.
All right. Okay. All right.
So there's prejudice inside also.
Oh yeah, definitely. Different levels of prejudice everywhere. Everywhere. So does it affect you personally? Do you have family members or friends that are in prisons or jail right now?
I don't want to answer that one, probably because I might say something that might disturb somebody.
Okay.
Okay.
Not a
But
problem.
I have known, and I have been incarcerated myself.
Okay.
I have not been charged with a federal offense, misdemeanors and stuff like that. County jails, not federal prisons. But so I have some association and some insight in what goes on inside even the local jails.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. So have the people that you've known or not known have they been attacked in jail or
Well, there's always-
verbally?
Attack, there's always some kind of scuffle over something. It could be simple, it could be racial, it could be over food. Mostly it's bowing up, what I call bowing up, standing your ground and
Oh.
not being beat down. So yeah, it happens.
Proving yourself,
Yeah.
your worth. Okay. Okay. Well, would you be surprised if you were a white male and you associated yourself with people of color in jail that you were also mistreated then?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if I was a white male because I happen to be one. But there is always somebody that doesn't like the association you have with other people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what race. It could be religion. It could be simply they just don't like a political view. And people won't like you because you're associating with somebody with an opposite political view. So it doesn't have to be race.
Yeah. That's very true. All right. Well, have you ever thought about being a corrections officer?
I have thought about it. It's something that I wouldn't do myself, simply because I know that they have a very difficult job.
Right.
They have to keep peace. They have to keep the regulations inside, and they're dealing with every person who's ever walked this earth.
Yeah.
Every personality type, everything. It's a
difficult.
very difficult job.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you interested in vocalizing this issue about problems within prisons or jails? You have an idea about how to go about that?
Well, the legal system is very slow to change. Laws are slow to change. People get legislation passed and regulations for controlling drug abuse and criminal activities and so forth, and somebody comes up with what they think is a good idea, and then sometime down the line they find out, oh, this isn't working, but it takes forever to get it changed.
Right.
And you have people that are incarcerated under laws that were enacted 40 years, 20 years ago, and they're outdated now. And they're still in prison, and other people are walking free for the same crimes that they committed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's animosity inside because the change is slow. It doesn't happen.
Cool.
And that can be frustrating.
Yeah, that's definitely a frustrating topic in general. So, yeah.
And I think most of our prison systems are they are money motivated.
Yeah.
Because in order for, well, the federal government puts out money to support them and assist them, but they have to show numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, you're a number and you're worth so much money to the prison system, and then especially in the private systems.
Yeah.
And the more numbers they got, the more money they have.
It's very true.
So it pays them to keep more people in prison.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi guys. So I think today was a success.
Yes.
We weren't able to talk to a lot of people, but we were able to get in-depth interviews with those people, or somewhat in-depth. One of the things that I'll take away from today is I kind of expected more people not to be aware of inequality in the justice system and the jail system. But then again, it was like hit and miss. Like I expected it, but I didn't. But one of the things that I found was the people who are aware of it are very much so for changing it for the positive. And then we did speak to a Trump supporter who was very vocal about that, very willing to talk to us. And I think that, although we don't agree on everything, there was a couple points that we can definitely agree on. One of which is for-profit prisons. And the other opinion that we agreed on was the fact that he was very for peace. He was very for, he voiced concern about Democrats and Republicans fighting, and if we spent less money on investigating Trump and more, this was the good part, more money on making immigrants in camps' lives livable and giving them food and shelter and so, I mean, that was
nice.
helpful. That was hopeful. I think he was, like I said, I mean, I expected not to like his opinions, but there was a couple things that I did like. And I think that we should start with the things that we do like about the opposing views. That way we're united on certain things. And, I mean, those are the things that we can change the quickest if all of us are on board with those things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was the one who did the initial interview, and he kind of tried to steer away from our topics and start to talk about immigrants quite a bit. And I was kind of concerned about it in the beginning, but I feel as if we came to an understanding on a lot of those points that Mercedes just mentioned. And that's the whole point of our show. It's to show the differences that people can have and still get along, find some common ground, come to some sort of solution. And really, just people for the people. That's what it's about.
Solutions and understanding each other.
Yes, understanding.
Yeah.
So
I think it was a good day.
It was a good day, yes.
Thanks.